welcome to Young Kizzy, the one YouTube channel. If this is your first time on my YouTube channel, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the red subscribe button down below and turn on the bell icon. Tell me what you think about this video in the comment section.
As your members of parliament, we have been appearing on these programs to highlight the many criminal activities under the UPND. We want to assure the suppliers and contractors on the copper belt that even if they bulldoze this particular law and enact it, when Tonse Alliance comes into government, that will be one of the laws that it will amend so that we give power back to the Zambians. We want to assure you, if for some reason they bulldoze their numbers, they got arrogance of numbers, and they pass these bills, don't despair, because what we want, what we are looking at, we are coming from the Patriotic Front. The Patriotic Front is a party that is pro-poor. Our policies favor the poor. Our policies favor the Zambians. So we have seen that a number of Zambians are losing hope. Others are committing suicide. Others are going to depression. We want to say, just hang on. Just hang on. We only have a couple of months to go. When governments change, we're not saying if, when governments change, we'll revisit all these laws. We're going to revisit the sale of Mopani. We're going to revisit the KCM issue. We'll revisit the dual carriageway and many other questionable transactions under the UPND. This is just to encourage Zambians. Please do not lose hope. Just hang in there. You know, we'll do everything possible to restore the sanity of this country going forward. What has happened under this government, the levels of corruption. Honorable Kafoya just made an observation. For the first time, when President Hakainde Hichilema was in opposition, he was very excited every time he received the FIC report. It was a FIC report that he used to call the PF leaders corrupt. He called us thieves. But for your own information, do you know that the highest figures reported under FIC during the PF time was only 2 billion kwacha? Under President Hakainde Hichilema's charge, the FIC report, you find $2 billion, $3 billion, 13.5 billion kwacha, 61 billion kwacha. Those are the figures. And what President Hakainde Hichilema's reaction is to quickly go to SCC and DEC and warn them to say, stop announcing this. You are disturbing the investors. You should be speaking quietly. What does that mean? What does that mean? He was the one who was encouraging the name and shame. He came to the floor of the house and said, we will name you, we will shame you. What has happened? The 10 names of ministers at the SCC. Why isn't the president talking about it? There are 14, of course. 14 ministers who are being investigated by SCC. One, there's been no suspension. He has not fired any of them. But Zambians are not stupid. Your Excellency, Zambians are not stupid.
We actually know them.
We know who they are. So we are watching you, even when you talk about corruption. When you talk about principles and values, we are watching you. So if you can entertain that level of corruption, the level of corruption that is going on right now, as we heard from one of your cadres, who is saying a simple contract at Mopani requires clearance at State House. A payment under Ministry of Health requires clearance at State House. A payment under the National Road Fund Agency requires clearance from State House. What morals or ethics or principles or values can you talk about if this is what is happening? And there's been no rebuttal. Nobody has come from State House to rebut what one of your cadres has said. Your own cadres now are only having meetings in the graveyard for fear of being arrested, for fear of being persecuted and bullied by their fellow cadres. What kind of a country do we have now? How did we get here? President Hakainde Hichilema, we've been talking about game changers. You call CDF a game changer. What a joke. What a joke. There's a young leader in West Africa who has embarrassed most of the African leaders today when we talk about game changer. I personally do not agree with the man that he ascended to power. I don't agree. I believe in democracy. But look at what the gentleman is doing in Burkina Faso. He can call that a game changer. He's changing the game in the agricultural sector. He's changing games in infrastructure, game in mining, and all this. That is a game changer. Yes, we may not agree how he ascended to power, but we have a young leader there that is putting to shame those leaders who've been coming, those leaders who are puppets of imperialists. He did away with all that and he's been able to re-employ the resources from his country back to his people. and the lives of those people will never be the same again. So when we want to talk about game changer, let's think twice. CDF can be a game changer. People should be excited all over the country about 1x3 classroom blocks. Look at what the gentleman is doing in West Africa. If, as President Hakainde Hichilema said, that he feels like he's been in office for 10 years, I believe that Ibrahim Traore has a right to think he's been in office for 1,000 years with what he has done. If what President Hakainde Hichilema has done makes him feel that he's been in office for 10 years, Ibrahim Traore should feel like he's been in that office for 1,000 years, looking at the development that he has brought to that country. So let's be very careful. Zambians are now knowledgeable, Zambians are now educated, and we belong to a global village. You can imagine, comrades, that somebody in Burkina Faso is looking at Zambia on social media and seeing 1x3 classroom blocks and maternity wards, and we're calling them a game changer. They are comparing what is happening in their country. What do they think? What sort of people do they think we are today? So let's understand, Your Excellency, that we belong to a global village. People are able to compare what we are doing here at a global level. So let us understand what is happening in other countries before we go out there and speak about what we have achieved. What have we achieved in 10 years? In these 4 years that you've been in power, Your Excellency, what have you achieved? Your Vice President was asked a question on the floor of the House. The question was, give us 2 projects that we've done with the 5 billion that we've borrowed. Not a single project. Even this corrupt dual carriageway is under PPP, so to speak. It's not. It's a Zambian. Yeah, it's a Zambian people's money. It's Zambian people's money. You know just 2 projects that the EPND have done from the borrowing. So how can the president say he feels like he's been in power for 10 years? For doing what? No, it's very disturbing. So I want to end with the issue of suppliers. Suppliers and contractors on the Copper Belt, we care for you. We care for you because you employ people, you uplift the living standards of the people on the Copper Belt and beyond. Our responsibility, our job as your members of parliament is to speak for you. We will fight on the floor of the House to ensure that, one, the minister should not be the one to prescribe the threshold under which the local suppliers should supply. We want a law that is settled. There should be a threshold set in that particular act of parliament. The many incentives we have given to the mines, we can't also allow them to be supplying goods and services to themselves. What is in it for Zambians? What is it for Zambians? Comrade Finance Minister gives incentives very quickly and every day. From the time he got into office, hardly 30 days in office, he gave incentives. But he can't give incentives to the Zambian people. Who cares about these suppliers? Who is looking out for the interests of the Zambian people? We, in the Tonse, will look out for the interests of the Zambian people now and in the future. We will do what we can now, and what we can't do now, we'll change the laws the moment we get into office to ensure that you are safe. So people on the Copper Belt, look out, don't despair. Nobody should get into depression. Nobody should commit suicide because of what they're going through. There's very little time left for the EPND in office. Definitely, they'll be voted out, and once they're voted out, we'll review all these questionable transactions. We'll review all the questionable laws that they're bringing. Even if they change the Cyber Security and the Cybercrime Act, we will revisit it. What country are we going to be? Our youth, vale fire, ngawatuma message kumunove. If in their view that message is false, they're spreading falsehoods. Kapokola, all he has to do is to go somewhere and say, record conversation yama youth landa. He will be given. There's no due process. There's no due process whatsoever. Record. So what they're simply doing is that they're entering into your privacy. They're calling privacy completely. Now our young people are always on social media. So the idea is to stop them from talking completely. The honorable member observed that we are not surprised. They want to make sure they know that they're about to do what is called constitutional amendments. So president-driven constitutional amendments. And Zambians should not forget too soon. Go back to 2019. Go and listen to what President Hakainde Hichilema said against butane. What did President Hakainde Hichilema say against butane? What did the UPND say against butane? Look at the party they hosted at Community House against butane. What were the sentiments? They were saying all the clauses there are poisonous. What were the sentiments? Honorable Kafwaya was Minister of Communication. When he was presenting the bill, the current law, when he was presenting it on the floor of the House, what were the sentiments from Honorable Jack Mwimbu as leader of opposition and the rest? And today he must come without shame to come and even defend certain things, and even increase, you know, come up with worse off clauses than they were before. The UPND can turn 360 degrees without even thinking about it. They've done that on the Constitution. They've done that on the cyber laws. They're doing that on everything. What kind of government do we have today? So countrymen and women, our message to you is a message of hope. Do not despair. We will stand with you in difficult times such as these, even in times when they'll be gagging you, when they'll stop you to speak because they've enacted these laws, we'll still stand with you. But most importantly, just remember that it's a matter of months. The UPND will be out of power, will be able to restore sanity in this country going forward. I thank you.